I feel like it's been forever since I started a live on a movie. I just feel like it has been forever. Even though we did the movie review, the Batman movie with the kids, and we also did which doesn't show. It's crazy. I did a review on Woman King with the kids, and it uploaded to my phone. It uploaded, but then it just disappeared somewhere. So we're gonna just keep pushing forward, even if no, I'm not gonna put that out there, like even if something negative, but let me tell you, oh, we need receipts. You know, everyone needs to show receipts nowadays, and I have a receipt for you. I surely do. It's a fact, because everyone wants receipts. There we go. And like always, I always support the concession stand. And this is my concession stand receipt. My cashier was Bata. And I spent $12 at the cat. Can you see that? There we go. You know, these little theaters, they're not making any money. I'm sure they're being paid. Half the movies are being paid to play. But there was only 3 other people in the theater. It was a guy, I can't remember his name, because we all, after the movie was done, we actually, when I came out of the theater, there were 3 people there. The one guy who was alone, as I was, and the women that were there. It's an interesting couple. I don't know if they were a couple. They might be dating. I don't think they're friends. I think it's more than that. Only because I say this. When they first came, one sat down in a chair and the other one sat 2 chairs away. And when they sat down, the one to the right got up and sat next to her. You know, so the way that was done was there was an alpha pool there. But I might be reading too much into it. I honestly, I don't even know why I even brought that publicly out there. But I had we had a great discussion after the movie. We're talking about a 15-minute discussion with 4 strangers. And that never happens. You know, I do these solo movies all the time, and I never get to see or speak with people after the movie's over, and I've tried. Most people are just in such a rush to just run out the door. And it was really refreshing. It was really refreshing to not have to deal with that, you know, that exodus that everyone does. Like as soon as the credits go, oh, it's time to go. And you know, with the blinders, everyone has the blinders on. But this movie, I as we were speaking about the movie, the 4 of us, right? One person's name I do remember because I have a good friend named Ray, and her name was Ray. And the other woman had another name, French name. But these are the people that we're speaking with. And the guy, I can't remember his name, unfortunately, but I liked him because he was the one who initiated the conversation with the people that came out of the place. And as I came out, I was greeted by them having this discussion, and they were like, did you enjoy the movie? And I said, I actually did enjoy the movie. And let me tell you, after speaking with these other 3 people, I enjoy the movie even more right now. And that's a fact. So, what happened? We got a story, and let me just say this. What I told them as we were speaking, I said, you have to understand this. You three people are speaking to a guy who believes that the earth is round, flat, inner, hollow, octagon, all at the same time. That this reality has something for everyone. This reality is very fluid. It's like a wave. It goes in and out, and it picks and chooses what it's going to bring in and what's it going to take out. And if you're not paying attention, you won't even notice what's going on. So, but I only said the first part about the earth being flat, round, concave, inner, hollow, and octagon all at the same time, just to give them an idea of who they were talking with. Because, you know, it's good to put out on the table that there's not going to be a black and white situation. As far as, you know, I'm open to. I'm a big thinker here, a critical thinker, a ponderer, and that the question was this a dream? Was this real or was this fake? Not fake. Was this real or was this just in her imagination? Was this just in her mind? And I would argue that it's a good thing that I see the earth as round, flat, inner, hollow, concave, and octagon, all at the same time. It's a good thing that I see the earth like that, because it helps with this kind of a movie. I would recommend this movie to everyone who is a dreamer and who believes in love, but it's not necessarily a love story. You see, I, for a moment, was thinking that this was some sort of movie that was one of those incremental steps that is taking to suggest the future of humanity. What do I mean? I was a little in fear that we have a woman, the main character in this story, and this woman is a loner. This woman is not only a loner, this woman is a recluse. This is the type of person who you don't touch. They're going to be like, don't touch me. This is a woman who's not going to shake your hand. This is a woman who's not going to, and it's not Asperger's, but she would be confused for a person with Asperger's if you've seen her at a glance. And it reminded me, and it just put me in a mindset that, is this like the meta world where you can believe it and it's true? You can just imagine your reality and that reality can be true because you've imagined it? Is this a way to just pussyfoot around the idea that people are going to be at home alone, and with your imagination you can create loved ones and people, and that is good enough, and you will find yourself content, maybe even happy? That's one of the things I was thinking about, because the gist of this story is we have a genie. They call him a jinn. And this is a jinn that's immortal, lives forever. And this creature or life force, or it's made from not radioactive, but it's made from it's an electrically magnetic being. Probably was used to build the pyramids, probably was used to build um, stones, move stones from one section of the world to the other. They were probably using it, I'm just telling you to think big. I'm not saying this is real. I'm just saying, just think big here, where this is like a reality where these things can exist. And these are our immortals. And very, very intelligent, very, very smart, easy and quick to learn. But being trapped in these bottles, different times of this jinn's existence, a jinn can't sleep. A jinn dreams with his eyes open, like some sort of daydreaming. And the jinn, by being so trapped in this bottle, has become and used to being a recluse. The jinn is talking about, for the first few hundred years, it just prayed to any god it can imagine to get him out this bottle. And then there's these 3 different stories that the movie tells where they spared no expense. The production on this movie was top notch, amazingly good. This was not like a TV series, low budget B movie. No. This was well done, well directed. The acting was spot on. Every scene after scene after scene. Was there blue screen involved? Of course. Green screen involved? Of course. Was there CG? Of course. But it was done really, really well. And the story, she says, there's this woman who's this recluse, who's also a writer, and she's on basically a seminar tour. And in the seminar tour, she gets bombarded with these thoughts in her head, almost to the point where you look at her as a little bit of a psychotic woman. Like, you're thinking she is schizophrenic. So she comes across as a schizophrenic person who deals with her schizophrenia by being a great storyteller. So then that's when you start to wonder, is this woman's schizophrenia allowing her to tell this story? Because the story is of a bottle that she found in some sort of drift shop in some sort of Istanbul's type of place, like one of these Indian antique shops, and it was just one of the bottles that was found underneath something that was, where no one would think of it. It was something that wasn't even beautiful or anything like that. And upon cleaning it and washing it and trying to scrub some of the dirt off of it, she, opens it, and this genie comes out, so to speak. And he explains, you can't wish for immortality, but I'm here to grant you these 3 wishes. And it got to the point where she's like, oh, hold up. Every story that's ever been told about you, the 3 wishes, they all end up bad. Let me give you a quick example. You have 3 people shipwrecked. They find a genie in a bottle. They open it. The genie grants them each a wish. And the one wishes they were home. The other one wishes they were home. And then the third one wishes that they weren't alone and that their friends were back with them. So all stories about a genie all end up badly. So she was very reluctant to even consider wishing any wish. And spoiler alert, she tries to not wish. But his true existence in itself requires her to wish. Because without the wish, then he is doomed to go back in the bottle. So in other words, I'm going to grant you these wishes. If you do not take this thing that I offer you, then I will suffer. So now he tells the story about the time when he was out of the bottle, and there was some sort of rich man's wife that he was in love with, making love to, and he gave her 2 wishes, which was to be like the most intelligent thing in the world. She was like an inventor, and he taught her how to be able to dream while daydreaming. That was her second wish. And the third wish would free him from her. So he would always beg her never to make the third wish. But one day they were in a big fight, very, very volatile relationship, extremely toxic. She felt that he was trapping her the way the husband was trapping her. It was this drama, toxicity, just all this stuff. And she wished that she never even remembered this guy. What happens? He's stuck in the bottle for another 100 years. First it was like 2,000 years. Then it was like 500 years. Then it was another 200 years. And now he's out. And he's letting this woman know, I will grant all your wishes. And crazy enough, it took a long time. And it was a lot of reasoning, well-directed, tension. And she wished that she could have the love that he could offer her as the, because here's the thing, he's suffering from like Patty Hearst syndrome to some degree, where he is in this bottle can't sleep in a bottle for thousands of years, hundreds of years, and he easily falls for the people that he's there to try to help. So he was like, in other words, Sheba. He goes all the way back to the Queen Sheba. I can't really think 100% of the words, like, you know, the title of her, but we've all heard of her. You know, like she's like, you know, like Nefertiti kind of a thing, and it talks about how he was one of her concubines, kind of a thing, and she was also a jinn. And she was wooed by King Solomon. And King Solomon knew that he was smashing her. So King Solomon hit him with them spells and got him put in a bottle. So while being in that bottle for all that time, anytime the person would let him out of the bottle, he found himself like falling for that person to some degree. He was a bit of a beta male when it came to that aspect. You know, he didn't have, like, it was, and then he was very, and then he became very frustrated, and time didn't allow him to become patient. He never was a patient person. He was like very reluctant to like yo, like listen, this is how it goes, this is the way it goes. Like he wasn't like that, but he held a lot of power, and he was able to pass on his knowledge and his power. And I did find this interesting. The woman who wanted to be very, very intelligent and very, very smart, he wasn't able to give her a spell that would make her smart. What he did was he provided her with the ability to get the knowledge. That was very, very interesting. How this woman wants to be so super smart. And she's like this inventor and this creative person and like a scientist in a time where, you know, we're talking about like the 1400s or whatever, where a woman couldn't even speak, and she was just one of many women. And the husband would just she would just bend over, and the husband would come in and knock her down, and then he'll just bounce. And the way the genie helped her become so intelligent was he brought her books. He provided her with like the greatest books of the world, so she can learn astrology and science of that time. And you know, she was able to do these mathematical equations, and she was super intelligent. And all he did was basically put the iPhone in her hand. It's not like he put the knowledge of the iPhone into her brain. He put the iPhone in her hand, which to me was a bit of a truth drop. It's like, you could bring a horse to water, but you can't make this horse drink this water. You have to have that. In other words, you want to be the smartest person in the world, I can't just pop that knowledge into your head. What I can do is I can just give you the tools necessary to take you there. And then when she found her limitations, what he did was he gave her and taught her the ability to zone out and daydream knowledge. She was able to he taught her how to be in the moment. He taught her about her true self, and she was able to solve mathematical equations without even thinking, where she was just in that place, in that zone, focusing, and she would get it. and he taught her that. But there was that one more wish that she would not, he was terrified of her to wish it, because then she would be gone out of his life, because he's suffering from that Patty Hearst sort of syndrome, being stuck in this bottle for all this time. He kind of doesn't really want to leave. He wants to stay there while he wants to, and mind you, they're having sex in this timeline. He's like the same way he did with the Queen of Sheba. He was smashing her, now he's smashing the next chick. And you don't know whether or not this is a real story, because in the beginning the woman tells the story as if she's like, yo, what I'm gonna tell you, the only way you're gonna understand is I'm gonna tell it to you like a fairy tale, then you're gonna be able to get it. Like, I'm gonna tell it to you like you're a 2-year-old, and then you'll be able to get it. So that was interesting, because now that planted that seed. Is this even legit? Is this even real? But there was a question that he raised, and she even questioned him back, and I thought it was going to be more of that explanation, but the director, did a really good job having the people that were there question whether or not this was real or not. Like, was this real? And I told the people that I was speaking with, I was like, this absolutely was 100% real and imaginary at the same time. Because there was an issue with him being electromagnetic, and how right now we have these massive amounts of waves going through us, through our bodies. We have FM, we have AM, we have 5G, we have all these different waves, radio waves, just going right through. So much stuff is happening, and he was suffering because of this, and it was making him deteriorate, because he had to concentrate so hard on blocking that world out of being able. He was almost like didn't I just say this recently? Did I speak on this in the earlier live about the only thing missing is a superhero? That I didn't say that for this movie, right? But I think I said that in another live earlier today. Because for all intensive purposes, this guy was an X-Man. This guy was the superhero of our time. This guy was electromagnetic, immortal, 6'9", 6'8", with pointy ears, and he also had powers. So this is some sort of like, had he not been trapped in the genie bottle with all these rules about how to get out of the bottle and the conjuring of these wishes, this would be, like I said earlier, one of the people that was moving, 14-ton rocks from here to 100 miles away. Like, they want the granite from this part, so they had to move it 6,000, not 6,000, but 1,000 miles to where the pyramids and all these other things were. How did they get it there? They utilized these immortal superhero style genies in the bottle, so to speak. So the question is, was he real? Could you see him? Could anyone else see what she saw? Because don't forget, in the beginning of the movie, she was having these visions of seeing things. So the director kept us on our toes, not knowing whether it's real or not. But there was an instance where it appeared that because of all the radio waves, he had to get out of here. He had to leave. He was getting sick and dying. And she wound up taking all his belongings and put it in a box and stuffing the box in on a shelf. Next to his box was the box of her husband, who she divorced, or he left her for some other woman or something like that. And so it feels like it was real. Like, if it wasn't real, then whose shoes and whose coat was that? Oh, one of the women out of the two that we were speaking with, her name was Ray. She said that the guy at the airport who stopped her when she was leaving London and coming back to, was it London? She was coming to London, but she was leaving Istanbul or I can't remember. It wasn't Bali or anything like that. But it wasn't Indonesia. I can't remember, and I apologize for that. But there was some, I'm thinking more on the Turkey-ish side. Yeah, Turkey, I think. And just because all that storyline was based on that side of the world, you know, all that history that Turkey and all that part of the world has, you know. They didn't talk about cataclysms or anything like that, but there's just so many thousands of years of history that will blow your mind on timelines, you know, and what is 2,000 years versus 12,000 years, you know. They're like, yeah, that's a 6,000-year-old house. No, sir, that's a 50,000-year-old house. What are you talking about? You know. Anyway, I digress. But she had mentioned that one of the characters in the airport was the same character that happened to be a king 500-600 years ago. What does that mean? See, I didn't notice that. What does that mean? That means that our reality is very, very fluid, and that possibly we're all reading from some sort of script that's given to us at birth, and possibly we all look the damn same. There's only possibly, you know, 50 meat suits to choose from. You know, I look at some of these young kids, I'm like, oh my God, that kid looks exactly the way I looked when I was younger. I mean, I just added 150 pounds to that. So I give off a different look. But how unique is this nose? Are these freckles? These lips? How unique is that? And they did make an interesting reference to creating life and how it would be. And he made the reference to a mule. How when a horse gets together with, what does a horse get together with that make the donkey? And the donkey can never have a child. So it was like something to that effect. You know how certain mix is not going to work. Like you'll never be able to recreate this mix. Like if a jinn has a child, I would like to watch it again before I even finish this thought. But let me say this. I recommend this movie. I think it was a great movie. I give this movie an 8 out of 10. 2 thumbs up. And yeah, share this review with a friend. I'm Big Elvis the Chef Rosenberg. My channel is the Big Elvis the Chef Rosenberg channel. I have a new channel that I'm launching, which is Premium Black News, one word. And maybe you can subscribe to that channel. It might be only 1 subscriber there, but I'm launching that as the podcast for coming very, very, very sooner than you can believe. And I just want to tell you that I love you. And I thank you for tuning in. Oh, let me double check to see what's being said. T-Rilla, I didn't like how they made him there to just be a buck and a servicer. I could see where you're coming from with that. Like he was from the beginning, Queen Sheba, that was her side piece. That was the guy who laid it down for her, who was madly in love with her. He was real beta. And you know, I would argue that a jinn has to be beta. Because if a jinn wasn't beta, then a jinn would take over the world. Lifestyle of Child and God. Great review. Thank you. Mary Jane. Hi at T. Rittler. Oh, you know each other. That's cool. What's going on, Mary Jane? T. Rittler, how you feeling? How's everyone? You are appreciated for checking out this thing. Yeah, I think that a jinn with all that power and all that strength has to be beta. Because, you know, you're going to take over the world, man. They need a jinn to fall in love at all times and be some sort of like guy who's cool with being stuck in a room. Is it the Patty Hearst syndrome, him being stuck in this bottle? And now when he gets out of the bottle, he's kind of like... But here's the thing, it's contradictory because they show him, he was talking about how he was all over the place. He was running over here looking at surgeries in the hospital. He was He was doing all kind of things that would lead you to believe that he's just some sort of very, very, he's very inquisitive and he wants to learn. And he will step out of the house to learn. He will step out of the house to learn. Let me see. Can't wait to watch the movie. Mary Jane, did you say you had Cash App? I do have a Cash App. My Cash App is $ElvisRosenberg, one word. $ElvisRosenberg, one word. And the E is capitalized, LIVS, and then the R is capitalized, OSENBERG. So the E and the R are capitalized, but it's one word, ElvisRosenberg, $. All right, T-Rilla, Mayhem, just say buck and a souvenir. Can't wait to watch the movie. The gin represents the black man. I don't know about that. I think it represented the original one. I think the gin didn't represent a black man because all were that color to some degree, if that makes any sense. You know, all were this color. Yes, there was a black man playing that part, but he, to me, represented the beginning of man. The color of the beginning of man before man chose to be a race. Because don't forget, race is a construct. This is a new construct. It was all about the elites and the nots. And it didn't matter what color you were. And most of the history shows that the beginning of the man was dark and black. But he represents himself. Even, and you know what's interesting in this movie? There was some racial overtones when, undertones or overtones? There was this race thing when her neighbors were these people that were talking about immigrants, because you know in London there's a huge influx of Indians coming from, not Indians, immigrants coming from all over the place into Europe, and they kind of like was talking, you know, real mess about that. And being that this gin had that color skin, she was like, you know, like basically telling off her neighbors. And then was interesting is that when she went to her neighbors with the sort of olive branch of snacks, he appeared behind her and she's like, this is my friend, he's gonna be staying with me. So when they looked out to see him, and you know it's like a black man, and you know they were a little bit racist, you say, okay, so he's definitely real. They see him. But then you start to wonder did they look over her shoulder and not see anyone there? Was he really there? That's what's great about this movie. But I understand what you're saying, that he was the black man, he's self-serving, he's beta, but we have to remember he's more of like original than race. We created race to separate, you know, because, you know, we all do the same and none of us different. We all have the same fears, desires, wants. The movie's on me tonight. Let me see. T-Rilla. The gin represents a black man, Mary Jane. The movie's on me tonight. T-Rilla. If a gin isn't beta, he'd be a god. Facts. So-called god. It's a contemporary on the perspectives of the year. My light is so low here. Let me raise my lighting up. I just don't know why it's so low. All right. Oh, I can see you now. I can see myself now. Okay. If the gym was beta, you have to be God. It is commentary on the perspective of the Europeans and their initial contact with the Africans. If a gin isn't beta, he'd be a god. Okay. It's a commentary on the perspective of the European. It's a commentary on the Perspective of the European and their initial contact with the Africans. Is it because the director is European? The director is the guy who did the Mad Max movie, the latest one, or the last one, I guess. It's a great movie, nevertheless. Right. But I like what you're saying. It's like, can we get a, like, I did think of race. I have to admit, there was a scene when she was, when she, her first wish was for him to love her, and for him to be with her, and he granted her that wish because it was her true desires to be with him. I couldn't help but think that this 7-foot-tall God-esque black-ass man in a robe, well, she had to see the bulge in the robe, no? Because that the scene of when the camera went across the room of the hotel, when he was cradling her, she looked like she was like 105 pounds and he was like 300 pounds and 7, 9, 10 feet tall. So just imagine what was under the robe was. Mendigo and Lexington still got nothing on that. I'm sure he would reduce it just to not cause her any problems and make it a perfect fit, being that he's such a, such a gin. Wouldn't want to hurt the girl now. But you are thankful, and I appreciate you, T. Rella, for joining in on this conversation. You are the best, and if you've gotten any value out of this, my Venmo is at Elvis-Rosenberg. That's the Venmo. No? Yes. That's the Venmo. And the Cash App is $ Elvis Rosenberg. You are appreciated. Thank you for tuning in. I am going to go home. Oh, and let me show you what I'm on. That's the wrapper for the chocolate. Oh, look, I got another chocolate here. Can you see that? It's supposed to say chocolates right here. Everyone should get the movie. Good job. Check your Cash App. Hold on, y'all. Mary, you are awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you for that Cash App. I love you.